Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. My name is Noreen. You are here joining us for the San Joaquin Valley Prime Plus BS to MD program. I'm going to hand it over now to Iris Price, our SJV Prime Plus BS to MD admissions manager. Go ahead, Iris.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. We're going to go ahead and start with a short survey. We want to learn some more about you, what school you're from, how did you learn about the program, if you have learned about it before, and kind of your interest in applying to the program. So if you could take some time to fill that out for us before we get started. Yeah, thank you.
And based on our registrations, we're just waiting for time for a few more people to come in. And then we will get started. Okay. Hopefully you've had a few minutes to do this really quick survey of 3 questions. I'll get started now in the formal part of our presentation. The goal for tonight is, if you're here joining us and listening, especially if you're a student, the goal is to have it so that when this program is done, this webinar is finished, you have the information that you need to decide whether this program is a fit for you, or you're trying to figure out your options compared to other pre-med doctor routes. And the way we're going to do that is give you some context about the program, some physician statistics, where we fit in terms of workforce development, and specifics about our PRIME program, and more details about BS to MD. In particular, it's about the 8-year journey. And this is not an application workshop per se. That will be done in the fall of 2026. And then we'll wrap up with some contact information and Q&A led by our students here. So first and foremost, this program is about health equity and health access, period. The graphic on the left is showing you where the primary care physicians are in the Central Valley, where the primary care physicians are in California, with the Central Valley having the least amount of doctors per population, 100,000 population. The numerical and visual graphic on the right is showing you the number of specialists needed per 100,000 population, and how we are not even meeting that 131 mark. We are currently at 81. And so, as you can see right now, just from population comparison, we don't have enough doctors for the people that are here. Graphic on the left is similar information. It's just showing you side by side in comparison to other regions of California, like Inland Empire. San Joaquin Valley has, again, the least amount of primary care physicians and specialists in general. On the right-hand side, the graphic is showing you that in relation to Florida and New York, we are the 3 states probably with doctors that are older in the field in terms of their time in the field, and maybe the latter part of their career. In which case, as physicians get older, they might be retiring. They might not be taking one-on-one patients or doing diagnosis. They might be leading research, leading in administration, that sort of thing. And so if less and less doctors are taking patients, then another factor in why healthcare access and healthcare equity is important to us. The graphic on the left is showing you that of the doctors in California, actually 3 out of 4 were not from California, and they were from out of state. But the graphic on the right is actually showing you if a student or pre-med student has actually done their medical school here and done their residency here, then they're likely to stay in California. So the combination of some of these statistics is showing you why we have a need for a program, a doctor training program for Central Valley. And then the bottom 3 circles is showing you the demographics of primary care physicians, the demographics regarding who is going to medical school, and then the population of California. So another part to this is about making sure that those who are trained can serve the population that is in need in the regions that are in need. So to understand some of the pre-med doctor pathway opportunities in California, specific to the University of California, you could think about these in 2 ways, because we participate in 2 workforce development structures. one that was actually created by University of California, and that's called PRIME programs. So program in medical education. Program in medical education is structured to attract undergrads, graduates, and career changers. The other workforce development initiative that we participate in is called California Medical Scholars Program. And as you can see, there are hubs, 4 hubs in the Central Valley, and all the hubs are UC schools of medicine. And they are pretty much in regions of need. And they would have an initiative to support community college students getting career exploration and pre-med support. So these are the 2 big picture, big umbrella structures that create some of the opportunities for pre-med pathway programs with the UC. But the one we're focused on right now is PRIME, Program in Medical Education. University of California is really concerned about the regions that, again, do not have healthcare access or trained doctors. So for the University of California, there are 6 schools of medicine currently. UC Merced is aspiring to be the 7th. And with the current 6 UC schools of medicine, there is more than one medical doctor degree program option for people to apply to. And in broad strokes, to kind of categorize some of these opportunities, there's MD, MD PhD, MD MBA, MD MPH, and the bottom right-hand corner is where we sit. All PRIME programs are about serving regions and populations in need. So as you hear about our program, mission fit, right, and program fit is a big influence in being competitive for the program. So as you continue to hear about what we're trying to do, find out if this is for you, or if not, there's still these other 4 that are highlighted here as also doctor pathway programs. But if you hear anything about regions in need, it's always going to be the right-hand corner. And especially if there's a region highlighted like us, SJV, in front of the title, then we're always talking about San Joaquin Valley. So what's the concern about San Joaquin Valley besides not having enough doctors trained here for the population here? In combination with that is there's special conditions that occur here that don't occur elsewhere on the coast or in urban cities. Maybe after certain environmental conditions, people have to boil their water. Life expectancy is different also here, and it's actually less. And then hospitals are closing and then reopening or sometimes staying closed. Other things are young adults and teens might be experiencing some influences regarding human trafficking, drug or homelessness. And then other conditions too. Black infant mortality and Black maternal health is a concern. Again, another issue about hospitals closing, maybe due to funding. And then, a reversal of overdose medication. Those are now in vending machines. And then mental health. The access to mental health is also less here in the Central Valley. For residents like me that live here, I'm actually getting my primary care support through a mobile clinic. All of my primary care appointments have been in a mobile clinic parked in a high school parking lot where I've actually presented before. So healthcare goes to where the people are sometimes, and that's just a different way of delivering medicine or trying to reach those in need. And that's different than urban cities and on the coast. So in terms of the areas that we're looking for, in terms of training doctors, we're looking at the 9 counties in improving the conditions here for healthcare support, healthcare providers, healthcare access. So San Joaquin County to the north, which is the Stockton area, and then all the way down to Bakersfield, Kern County. So in terms of options, as you try to explore more moving forward, these are 3 options that the UCSF School of Medicine, UCSF Fresno support and are part of. And so the first one is what this webinar is about today, which is SJV PRIME Plus BS to MD. The second one is SJV Med Bridge, specific to community college students. Sometimes this might be considered because a lot of people might be finishing their AA or AS, and they might prefer that route. And then the third one is the traditional MD route, but again, specific to training doctors for the Central Valley. Students might have left the area, gone to a different school, gone out of state, chosen another UC, a different, maybe a CSU, and come back. So these are the three different options regarding UCSF, UCSF School of Medicine, and we're going to spend our time on number one, the high school opportunity. Again, it's a workforce development program to train future doctors for Central Valley. It is an 8-year program. We admit 15 students each year. Anyone that finishes this program gets their medical degree from UCSF School of Medicine. It is a UCSF School of Medicine curriculum, and it's after receiving your Bachelor's of Science at UC Merced and all clinical medical training at UCSF Fresno. And again, we keep repeating this because this is our mission. It's about addressing the physician shortages and addressing health equity in San Joaquin Valley. So the journey for SJV Prime Plus Scholar is starts with applying high school senior year. Anyone that gets in will finish their bachelor's at UC Merced, stay at UC Merced for a year and a half to begin medical school during the 5th year of the 8 years and do pre-clerkship, and then finish at UCSF Fresno with clinical rotations and career launch. The activity in terms of starting medical school is all facilitated in this new medical education building, which is opening in the fall. And the other departments that are involved in terms of curriculum and integrated research and things like that would be the departments highlighted on the bottom. Department of Public Health, Psychological Sciences, and Health Sciences Research Institute. And going into more detail about the MD portion, which is the last 4 years of this 8, what Foundations 1 and Foundations 2 looks like in broader terms is students actually won't be seeing patients or next to patients during Foundation 1. That's all about you learning about the profession, integrating your academic coursework with practice, learning about medical knowledge and how to be a doctor, and learning a lot of the clinical skills that are needed to finish Foundations, enter Foundations 2 and finish Foundations 2. Foundations 2 is being next to somebody's bedside, right? Supervised, proctored by a preceptor, attending and a resident, et cetera. So you're a lot more immersed now in some of the training. It's site-based, it's clinical rotations, it's next to somebody's bedside. And we get asked about the curriculum. It is the Bridges curriculum. It is the UCSF Medical School MD degree curriculum. So this is the curriculum regardless of location. So it's the same curriculum in San Francisco. It's the same curriculum for the BS to MD program, and then the same curriculum for UCSF Fresno. So each vertical column shows you a medical school year. So MS1, MS2, MS3, and MS4, with the first year and a half at UC Merced and the last 2.5 years at UCSF Fresno. These are just some highlights, really quick information about what some of these modules look like, in sequence. A lot of it is very heavily San Joaquin Valley information, research. You'll be trained by experts of San Joaquin Valley from UC Merced, UCSF Fresno, and UCSF. A lot of professional development courses and summer research programs, as well as, learning about different areas and specialties. Also taking time off for the USMLE, which is the U.S. Medical Licensing Exam. And there are 3 throughout the journey, which you'll see in a second. And then as you're wrapping up the 4 years, the end part is called Career Launch, where you're learning about the different residencies to apply to, and you'll find out during match day what that is. So zooming out a little bit, as you zoom out, if you are interested in applying to BS to MD program as a high school senior, then your doctor journey starts here, applying before November 20th. Now, you might be comparing this to the traditional route, and the traditional route is students apply to medical school during undergrad, starting the spring of their junior year and finishing in their fall. After undergrad, everyone goes to medical school. Medical school is 4 years, and the last year is again that career launch application to residency, and then match day. All right, their version of graduation. Depending on what you want to specialize in, then there's different times for residency, different lengths of residency, as well as different lengths for fellowship after that. But as you will notice, USMLE, there's step 1, step 2, and step 3. So throughout your journey, you're taking different portions of the licensing exam, and they're all standardized tests as you continue to progress in the program. And then USMLE licensing exam step 3 is during residency, and you are a practicing doctor with the license. All other phases before that is you are supervised by a licensed doctor. So what is the offer? The offer is anyone that gets an offer from SJV Prime Plus is getting a financial award based on their individual application. Priority registration in your core courses. There's no wait list, no hunting down for classes, because we want you to finish in regular normal time in order to start medical school the 5th year. During the freshman year, there's an opportunity to live in the living and learning community of pre-meds to get the support and networking right away with your cohort and other pre-meds on campus. The MCAT is not required to join this program, but again, test-taking strategies and standardized tests will be part of the journey. We offer you a conditional acceptance, your spot in medical school now, and it's a conditional acceptance based on how you perform during your bachelor's and undergraduate program. And the last 2 is mirroring what medical students get in terms of making sure there's community engagement, volunteerism, research, clinical observations, and mentors throughout the journey. Mariah and Adriana can speak to this later about the mentors that they have, but there are faculty mentors as well as clinical physician mentors. So that's the big picture in terms of the 8 years. And then again, this is not an application workshop, but we want to put some important dates in front of you, especially if you are a current senior thinking of applying. You might have friends that have applied in prior years. So I'm going to suggest you just forget the dates before or some conditions before, because we continue to refine the program. So these are the dates for the upcoming application cycle. November 20th is the deadline for someone to submit their UC application with the Prime Plus major. And then the rest of the application, one is the supplemental, will be due the first Friday of December. And we've extended by a weekend when your recommenders can submit their portion, which is the following Monday. So these are the dates. These are the final dates if you are thinking of applying this coming semester. Always return to the website, because this is July right now in the summer. If we do any updates, it'll be towards the end of August. So keep returning to the website. You don't have to wait for these deadline dates. You can turn on things early. It gives you more time to do the supplemental, or it gives your recommenders more time to do their letter of rec. And ask all your questions before deadline dates. There's nothing that we can do to adjust anything after deadline. So please ask your questions all before deadline dates. In terms of where you can find us, for me and the UC Merced rep, these are the college nights that we will be at. It's already scheduled. They are the last week of August and 2 weeks into September. You can meet us in person and then ask some questions, and then maybe get some reminders and that sort of thing. But I also want you to meet the UC Merced rep so that you know who can help with the UC application and UC PIQs. One colleague of mine would be Caitlin Lopez, who goes to part of the Central Valley. And again, she's the point person for the UC Merced application and UC PIQs. And then the other person, Central and South Valley, is Denise. She might be another person that you also see going to your high schools. Also a point person for UC Merced UC application and UC PIQs. And I'm now going to hand it over to Mariah and Adriana to explain to you what opportunities are for appointments, and also introduce themselves as they are current students in the program.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariah Dillon, and I am a current second-year student majoring in biological sciences with an emphasis in molecular and cell bio, and also minoring in public health. My experiences overall, I would say, have gone pretty well. I definitely recommend applying to this program, especially as a senior who is kind of looking for, say, like a solid community of pre-health students to kind of abide by. So, from my experiences personally, I was part of the third cohort. So, essentially, I had 14 other students to kind of, I guess, look upon to help me study, or say if I wanted to, I guess, maybe chill outside of class. I had that wonderful opportunity as well. So with a group such as mine and also like the older cohorts, we were able to efficiently study and also make meaningful bonds. And Adriana, I'm sure can touch upon that as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Adriana Law. I'm a current third year and I also am majoring in biological sciences, but with a different emphasis of human biology. And I just recently took up a minor in philosophy, so I'm excited to take more classes on that. And very similar to what Mariah said, it's been such a great time. I was also blessed with the opportunity to have a cohort above me. I'm in the second cohort of this whole program, which is crazy to say, but yeah, so I had, a lot of opportunities to talk with the older cohort and make friends with them, and they give me tips on how to do well in my classes, what's the best things to eat in the dining hall, all the great things that UC Merced has to offer. And I also had the opportunity to mentor the third cohort as well, and now Mariah and I are coworkers, so it's fun to see each other in the office sometimes. But yeah, the program overall has been such a great opportunity in terms of mentorship, a lot of support for the students. They understand that so many of the people in the cohorts, including myself, come from places where, we didn't have a lot of access to, what college meant. And so being part of this opportunity to talk more about my experience and getting so much help along the way has been great. So if you guys have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them for the remaining of the time.
Before we go to the actual Q&A chat, I kind of wanted to touch on a few things since we had a little bit of time. Adriana and Mariah, if you can speak to the difference between interactions with your cohort and specific BS to MD events, and then being a regular UC Merced student, maybe giving them a context and understanding of the different communities you're involved in.
Yeah, so I could go first. So for me personally, I just wrapped up my first year. So with that being said, I'm a part of the women's cross country and track and field team. And then of course, I also have my job with Adriana. We're coworkers, and we have plenty of other individuals too that we kind of mingle with. So for my experience as a first year overall, the first year is kind of more so essentially just kind of navigating UC Merced and overall seeing which classes you like, which classes you want to take later on in the future, and kind of just getting your feet wet with academics in general. There are a lot of clubs on campus, especially for pre-health students. However, you don't necessarily have to go into pre-health. Me personally, I decided to pick up on sports, continue my sport from high school and stuff. And yeah, this upcoming year, I'm looking into maybe a few research labs to kind of get my feet wet with that. And yeah, it's one of the communities that I'm a part of so far, along with work. And yeah, overall, my experience has been great. Like I said, I had the opportunities to mingle with my cohort many, many times. And then we also, as a part of like all three cohorts, we were able to go to UCSF Fresno on a Saturday in May and kind of navigate the facilities there, as well as meet other future physicians as well.
Yeah, and kind of similar to Mariah, I mean, this program really has given me the opportunity to delve into things that, I don't know if I would have done if I was on the traditional pre-med route in a different undergraduate institution. So I always keep myself busy. I just planned out my next fall semester and I realized like, wow, I kind of set myself up for a lot of things. But I do things because I really want to do them, not because I feel like I have to. And I feel like that's it's something that you can take for granted if you are in a program like this, because like I feel like in the first year, since there wasn't a lot of requirements that were asked of us other than make sure that you keep your grades up, uh I kind of felt a little restless because a lot of the people in the cohort were always doing, um and we don't really know how to chill, but I learned that a lot in my first year. But I feel like now that I'm coming into my third year, I'm right back at it. I signed myself up for 3 jobs next semester, so we'll see how that goes. I'm just like Mariah said, I'm a student ambassador, and so we work for the Office of Admissions, helping students with college access in general and how to navigate the UC application. So that's been really fun for me since I didn't really have that when I was in high school. So being a resource for students that were just like me when I was a senior and just at high school in general has been really gratifying. But other than that, I'm just starting up a learning assistant position for Calculus 1 next semester. So I'm really excited to, keep mentoring students. And I have another tutoring job for elementary school students, and it's based in literacy, and it's really important to me. My hometown's Visalia, California, so Tulare County has one of the lowest literacy rates in the nation. So literacy is really important to me. So it's nice to, give back to the community in that way too. But yeah, I'm also involved with research with the Andy Lee Wang Labs. One really great aspect about UC Merced is that research is so accessible for students. That's not just exclusive to SJV Prime Plus students. It's for everyone. We have resource centers that are available for students to, to get involved in research. So I'm in a biochemistry lab with Andy Lee Wang. I'm really excited. If you want to ask more about that, I'd be happy to talk about it. But yeah, and one last thing, I know that Noreen talked about clubs. I'm really involved in this one club called the Filipinx American Association, which is a multicultural club, learning more about Filipino culture and things like that. And it's been really nice to have a community that's not just pre-health and not just within my research lab or not tied to work. It's just been nice to hang out and have people to hang out with, during the times where I don't have classes or I want to do something spontaneous after school. So yeah, I know I talked a lot, but that really just goes to show that you can do so many things while also, pursuing having these career aspirations and, still keeping yourself sane with the things that you love to do that you may have done through high school or may have not gotten the chance to. UC Merced gives you a lot of options to do that. But now we should probably go into the Q&A.
We have a little time. I'm asking probably one more question, at least a couple more actually. A lot of students that apply to this program are very high achieving, right? They've got their own momentum and they're busy students and they achieve a lot during high school. And so, you lined yourself up well in terms of applying and getting in. What is one thing you wish you knew, right? Now that you're on the other side of it. Yeah, what's one thing you wish you knew that you weren't told or didn't know as you transition to BSMD?
Yeah, for me personally, I kind of wish I knew that there's so much opportunities for like mentorship throughout the program. Not even just your first year. I mean, in general, your first year you do get two mentors. You get a general faculty mentor from DOME, which is the Department of Medical Education, and then you get a UCSF Fresno physician mentor. So for that, basically, essentially, you kind of have the opportunity to sign up for a certain mentor that you like. You have like about one or two options, and then they place you with that mentorship group and you can meet up with your mentor, your physician mentor, say like once to twice a month, depending on your guys' preference. And you can also meet up with your physician mentor alongside the rest of the group. So sometimes these groups can comprise of other students from the other different cohorts. So with that being said, I love the accessibility of having like top-notch mentors from like say like such prestigious like medical schools, especially UCSF Fresno, because obviously coming from the Valley, you never really have the opportunity to talk to a doctor like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that wasn't my answer, but I'll just add on a little bit. It's really cool because, it's kind of an informal setting and, you're not shadowing them or anything like that. You can ask them the most random questions. It's nice to have like my mentor, she's like a mother to me. Like we always like all of our mentor meetings are mostly just us catching up and talking about, what's her day-to-day life, and then she's always curious about what we have to say. So, it really I guess it really paints this picture of like the fact that so many, like we're just truly a family, like out of the three cohorts, it's so easy to talk to someone that's, in the younger cohort or the older cohort, because, we are all experiencing the same thing. And that's actually a good segue is something I wish I knew is that, going into this kind of like what Noreen said is that it was kind of like a rat race in high school. We were always doing things to make sure that, that we like achieved enough in order to, get into something like a program like this. And that it's not a competition, like it's more like a family rather than a competition between my like own cohort and the other cohorts. It's been really nice just being in a very supportive and collaborative type of environment when it comes to pre-med. It's very hard to find that nowadays, since, it's so competitive to get into medical school in general. So having a lot of support, whether that means in like a professional aspect of it, or just like a near peer mentor has been really helpful. And it was a nice surprise when I came to UC Merced.
So again, trying to speak to the population that's on this call, probably the high school population. They're here early. They're talking to us in the summer, probably already made points with you or me. The next question I have for you, Adriana Mariah, is when it comes to, sorry, what was my question? I lost my train of thought. What I'd like to know is every year we offer this opportunity to 15 students, right? And we are now going into our 5th application cycle. Turned us down because they had amazing opportunities. And then you have turned some amazing opportunities down to choose BS to MD. And so I won't speak to your individual situations, but I'm sure that's something that is on the minds of people on this call. Yeah. So decisions, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, so when I was in high school, I kind of kept to myself, but when I told people uh as admissions were coming out, Prime Plus for me was actually like one of the last ones for me. So I didn't really know anything. I was kind of deciding, I was deciding between another BS to MD or like other UCs like UCLA or UC Berkeley. Or there's a lot of, it was kind of up in the air, but I was really waiting for this decision. And I think uh, in my opinion, a lot of people were very surprised that I chose UC Merced for this program since it was so new. No one really knew about it, and so they kind of held my hands and they're like, "Why are you going to UC Merced? Like, are you okay? Is something wrong?" And I just didn't really think that much about it. It was such an obvious option for me because I understood that, there's so many UC Merced has the same opportunities like other UCs and other undergraduate institutions. But since the student population is smaller, since we're a newer school, there's more access to the opportunities that every other UC has. And I think that I really experienced that when I was applying for jobs, when I was joining clubs, and when I was going into research. They were so accessible to me because because I chose this opportunity and I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it for a second. And I think that, thinking about yourself in the long run, I just knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I know that's not what a lot of people can say at such a young age. So, take that with a grain of salt. And I guess it also came from my family. I have some family that experienced, that pre-med traditional application cycle, and it was really rough for them. So, having an opportunity like this, I felt like I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Going off of what Adriana said, so my personal situation, I also applied to numerous schools during my senior year. And then ultimately, I was in between this program and then USC were my top two choices by April. So for me, when I went to Bobcat Day and kind of met all the other scholars, a part of the third core of the SJV Prime Plus program, I realized that these students honestly are very approachable, very friendly, and I think I had the opportunity of meeting Adriana that day too. I think she was on the panel. And I just realized like everybody's very, very welcoming, especially like the older students as well. Like I knew they would be there for me if I struggled later on down the line with like say like a class, for example. So I kept that in the back of my mind. And then the following weekend, I believe I toured USC and I sat in, I want to say a super large auditorium, probably meant to fill, I think, about 700 individuals. And this presentation specifically was for strictly like pre-health students. So the fact that that whole auditorium was filled, and then there was a backflow room as well that was also filled, kind of made me put into perspective how many students generally really want to become pre-med, especially in undergrad. So just seeing that and comparing the pros and cons, especially with this program, you don't have to take the MCAT. Pretty much you have mentors along the way. Research experiences are built in, clinical experiences are built in, and pretty much just all I would really have to focus on is staying on top of the program's requirements was my main thing here. I realized that that would be the more ideal option instead of fighting, literally fighting for my life at USC, trying to say get into a club, get into a research lab, and just fighting tooth and nail to, I guess, overall compete for a spot for something maybe like very minuscule compared to everything in the program itself. So that's how I came to my conclusive decision of coming to UC Merced. As I mentioned, the opportunities simply outweighed the con. I say like more like the cons going to USC and such forth.
Thank you, Adriana and Mariah, for your flexibility that I spontaneously threw these questions at you. Hopefully that was a warm up for Q&A, and it kind of gave an idea here to our audience about your experience. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully you all had an opportunity to see how to make appointments with us. But we're now going to move over to Q&A, and all of us will be able to answer. So let's see. Let's get started here. Okay. Okay, so the first question is, if I have a clinical shadowing experience outside the Valley, would this still be helpful? So any clinical experience is an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and why doctor, or how you are in these spaces and what you wish to learn, or whether you're ending up navigating in other spaces of healthcare. So it is helpful for you to learn more about why you want to be a doctor and why you want to be in this setting. We will still be looking for opportunities that you've been directly involved in the San Joaquin Valley. Okay, and then I'm going to give it to the rest of the group here. Is there anything else you'd like to add about that?
Yeah, I'll add something. When I was applying to this program, I did include things that, did occur outside of the Valley, whether that means like a research opportunity or some type of experience. For example, I did a summer program at UCI, and it gave me an opportunity to shadow an orthopedic oncologist, which was really cool. And those opportunities like that, it's very special because kind of similar to what Noreen was saying throughout the presentation, specialists are really hard to come by, especially and let alone shadow in the San Joaquin Valley. So taking opportunities like that, it helps you learn a lot about why you want to be a doctor, or how you can best navigate like an environment with maybe perhaps like more patients, because it was at UCI Medical Center. So there was a lot more patients compared to when I was shadowing in a hospital. And so gaining that experience, you can talk about how you wish to apply that type of care, like when you're practicing as a physician. Kind of just do, it's more about like the introspective and like how you navigated, like, and what you saw and what you learned in shadowing. But that doesn't mean to not include things about the San Joaquin Valley, because that is very important in regards to your application.
So the next two questions, I'm just going to go ahead and sort of combine this a little bit. It's about finances. So the first question is, does this program provide preference or allocation to low-income applicants? No financial information is viewed through the screening process. Besides it being a blind review regarding personal information, financial information is not anything that gets added in terms of the reviewers and interviewers seeing. So financial award, financial review, that is completely separate. And then the other question is there an entry price for this program, and what expenses should be expected? And then Adriana, again, if you feel comfortable with sharing that, you don't have to, but how you're navigating monetarily, or living, you're living as a college student. But the question about entry price, the entry price is UC tuition. And that is the offer that gets sent regarding March is when we send out our offers. And so it will be the undergrad UC tuition. And then the regular cost of UCSF School of Medicine, year 5. Okay.
I'll just say
Yeah.
something really short. So yeah,
Sure.
it's a UC tuition, and then if you decide to live on campus, one cool thing about the Prime Plus program is that we offer a living learning community, which means that you get to live with other pre-health scholars along with other Prime Plus scholars. So it's really cool if you want to, and it's only for first year. So that's what I chose to do. So that's why my cost of living was a little bit higher my first year. But after that, I chose to live off campus because it was a little cheaper for me, and I could be on, food benefits. So I have CalFresh, I have EBT through like the school, and they help me apply for it. So there's a lot of opportunities to save money. And if you search up the UC Merced tuition, it is much higher than what you're actually paying for, because there are additional costs that you can opt out of once you do sign your statement of intent to register. So in terms of costs, there's a lot of ways like to get around, like in terms of like financially, and also like public transport is really big here. I use that a lot when I was in my first year, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, a lot of students also use Amtrak. There's also a discount for Amtrak. Amtrak gets through all the 9 counties. Okay, so what are the average grades of students who get accepted into this program? Is there opportunities for people with not the highest grades? And what if my school didn't offer any extracurriculars? Okay, for the person asking this question, we're definitely going to invite you to have an appointment with any one of us so that we can talk out your particular situation. But I'm going to hand it over to our SJV Prime Plus admissions manager, Iris Price, to just give general information about grades, but people having to meet minimum eligibility.
Yeah, so the minimum eligibility to have your application receive the supplemental application is a 3.6 GPA. And I did answer somebody's question and gave a link to that. So if you look in the answered questions, talks about it's specifically your UC GPA, and there's a link there that shows you how to calculate that. If you're asking specifically about the GPA in terms of how that factors into your application, we do a holistic review. There was another question that asked about kind of what do you take into account, what has more weight than in terms of other aspects of the application, and there isn't really a specific weight that's put on anything. It's, like I said, reviewed holistically. So your GPA, your experiences, your extracurriculars, your personal statements, your supplemental application responses, those all go into deciding if you will be moving forward in the application review process.
Thank you. So these next two questions I'm going to merge because it's really about not being in the Central Valley. So there's international student question here as well as being out of state. And so can people apply this program? So the UC application is available to all students, whether you're international, out of state, or in state. Now, Prime Plus, SJV Prime Plus is a special program. And the fit for this program is those that are directly involved in the San Joaquin Valley. So how I also want to share this is that there are students that are in the Central Valley that have not been engaged with the community or the local regions that we're concerned about. So we do review first-year applications, whether it is international, out of state, or in state. Okay, but the competitiveness of this group is how involved they are with the Central Valley. Okay, does anybody else want to add to that? It's international question as well as an out-of-state question about the program. Okay, so we answered that. Let's see. What are the letter of recommendation requirements? We're going to save that for an application workshop. The only minimum right now is a 2, maximum of 3. And then we go more into detail in that in the application workshop. Okay. Question is for Mariah and Adriana. What things in your application made you stand out, or that you think made you stand out and get selected?
Okay, I can go first. So for me, I am definitely not your cookie cutter type of like pre-med student at all. Obviously I described my experiences with like running and stuff, so that was a good thing that I included in my app. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of an example. My first essay question that talked about generally like why I wanted to do medicine is specifically in the SJV, and I quote, this is how I started it. I think I said how to make slime, no borax, no glue, and then I talked about doctor stuff, obviously. But yeah, with that being said, as long as you make your application you and try your best to like describe your character, even if that means being a little bit humorable in a sense, like in your hooks and stuff like that, I highly recommend doing so. Just try to describe your character as best as you can. And in regards to like other experiences I did in high school, I also talked about being drum major, being percussion captain, like various leadership experiences that kind of helped shape me who I am and essentially helped me like in a sense kind of serve my values. So with those experiences, it kind of taught me how to lead a large group of students as well as inspire like younger generations to put a foot forward and try to do amazing things, even if that means in the sense of music. So that's kind of how I tied in all of my different experiences because overall I mean, generally, most of my app kind of included lots of like different experiences, not exactly like all like STEM. I had a bunch of various experiences such as music. What else did I do? Winter guard, one percussion, drumline, track, cross country, key club, book club, etc. And then I got my CNA license later on down the line.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me this questions like, why did you get in? Like, what was like the most important thing of your application? And to be honest, like I can only really speculate. No one's really told me like, oh, this is the reason why you got in. But it's kind of like Mariah, I was very involved in music. Music was really important to me, and I think that uh, there's so many applications that come in now, and it's really hard to stand out between the rest of the masses. And I think what was really important for me was to learn how to really advocate for myself in the written form and also like eventually in the interview portion. And I will say my interview went terribly. So that's how I kind of know that I really I worked so hard on my PIQs and my supplemental questions because I wanted to tell them my story and I didn't want to have I guess like the admissions officers questioning about anything. Like, oh, I wonder why she did XYZ. I made sure that I was very clear in my responses and kind of similar to what Raya was like as well. I did do corny hooks because I thought that, they kind of represented me. For example, I talked about this acronym called Yoga Whippy, which is it stands for you only get out what you put in. And so I thought it was a good motto, and it really helped me understand that um, like it is truly like you only get out what you put in. And so being committed to this program is so important, right? It's such a long time commitment, and it's not just a commitment to your profession, it's a commitment to the Valley, it's a commitment to all of the education and training that you have to do after the 8 years as well. You're going to be constantly learning. And yeah, I didn't only do clinical opportunities. I mean, I did some, but I felt like the most notable things were the things that I really cared about. So for example, one of those was being that I started a club when I was in high school, and it was to play like host little quartets and like chamber music for memory care facilities in my area, because it was really important for me because I was really fascinated by like neuroscience and I was really fascinated by music. So I found ways to apply that in different contexts. So having all these lessons learned and finding ways to talk about how you apply them in different contexts, it makes your application super strong because the admissions officers see that, oh, you learned this lesson and you can apply it into a different outlet. And so that means like consequently, like you could apply it within your career. So those things and those little avenues were really important for me to convey. So I think that was the best thing that I did in my application for sure.
Okay. Next
Yeah, one more
question.
thing I would like to add
Yeah.
real quick. I also agree with Adriana. I thought my interview also went terrible. So overall, I would definitely say please, please, please definitely hone in on your supplemental questions and your PIQs in general. Make them you, and then make sure you describe your experiences like tied to the Valley and how you want to be a physician for the Valley at the end of the day.
And we can help you too. It's easier said than done, we promise. But
Yes, yes.
Okay, next question. Is this specifically for high school seniors or as well for upcoming UC Merced students? Okay, so I'm going to answer and then obviously anybody else chime in. It is for high school graduates, first year incoming freshmen. If you are a freshman somewhere else, you do not qualify for this program. You would have to choose number 2 or number 3 or another opportunity. So high school senior, majority of people apply are current high school seniors about to graduate. If people decide to take a gap year after high school, it's that they have not been a freshman somewhere else. Anybody else want to add to that? Okay. Does acceptance of this program affect the acceptance for UC Merced? For example, if we get denied from this program, do we get denied from UC Merced? No, it's 2 different applications. UC application, you're actually probably hear about a decision first in December, early decision, or January, February. You will not hear about a decision for Prime Plus until March. So there's 2 different acceptances. Obviously, you have to get into the UC to get into the BSMB program. But people can still come to UC Merced even if they didn't get into Prime Plus. Okay. This one goes to Iris. How many people apply per year?
So we typically get 1,000 interested students who apply.
And then it says, what are you guys looking for in applicants applying to this program? I'm currently a junior in high school and I'm kind of unsure about what I should have listed in my apps. Okay. Does anybody want to answer that? And for this person asking this question, we're going to also make sure you keep up with us because there is an application workshop and we cover this. But in general, we look for academic rigor, commitment to some, especially STEM and math and science with labs. So follow your A through Gs, exceed your A through Gs, and do as many college level coursework. The second is commitment to something over a long period of time, because this is an 8-year journey. We want to see that you can stick with something that is meaningful to you. And the others is San Joaquin Valley, San Joaquin Valley, San Joaquin Valley, San Joaquin Valley. You've participated, got a job, volunteered, engaged in the community, worked with people in need, that sort of thing. Would you guys like to add anything else about what we're looking for?
Yeah, I think there was also like a question about like, oh, what if my school also doesn't have extracurriculars? It's anything that you were involved in, whether that means like inside of school or outside of school. And so that means like, oh, because I was like involved in a lot of orchestras outside of school, so I included that and I talked about it, even though that it wasn't something like, I guess, integrated within like my 6 periods of school. And then in regards to the coursework, they're evaluating you based on like your environment and like the high school that you did school in. So they're not going to, I guess the admissions, I guess a good way to say this is that if you don't have, let's say like EP chemistry, they're not going to, like at the school, they're not going to be like, oh, she didn't take AP chemistry. If it's not offered at your school, that's not going to count against you. And there's ways to navigate if you don't have coursework, whether that means like maybe taking it at community college or taking it online. There's a lot of ways that I guess you can navigate not having those courseworks. But yeah, they really emphasize that academic rigor, especially in science, because that is a lot of what you're going to be taking within your 4 years at undergrad. Like I took I started taking I took up a philosophy minor because there's so much STEM, and they just want to make sure that you're prepared for that.
Okay. Again, I'm going to reiterate, this is not an application workshop and there's a lot of application questions. We want to make sure people are trying to figure out if this is a good opportunity for them and it's a fit. So we're going to answer more programming questions than we are application questions. Are students matched with their mentor once they get accepted, or are they guided to finding one?
I think Mariah is answering a question right now, so I'll answer it. Uh, In terms of mentors, we have a lot of them, whether that means like during undergraduate, which means like our academic advisor, or the Department of Medical Education faculty, and then also UCSF faculty as mentors. So there's a lot of, I guess, levels to mentorship here at the SJV Prime Plus program, and I will speak on the UCSF mentors. So kind of like what Mariah said, they'll send out a form to us, and it's a list of available physicians that want to mentor Prime Plus students. And so they have descriptions of what they're interested in inside and outside of their job, what their specialty is, and all the good things. And then you can choose, and they also have their availability. That's attached to that as well. So you choose the one that is best according to your availability and to your interests. And each semester you're able to change your mentor, and there's no hard feelings at all. If you want to change it, if you just want a different perspective, but each semester. So it really depends on the person. So, for example, I've kept my mentor since my first year, because I feel like there's so much I can still learn from her. But it really depends on the student whether or not they want to see new experiences or they just want to keep with the same mentor. And then for like the academic advising and the Department of Medical Education faculty, those usually get assigned to you. But if you want more perspectives, they would be happy to switch mentors if you'd like. And I actually do see another question of like, our mentors one-on-one. So Department of Medical Education faculty and academic advisors, they host more one-on-one appointments where they talk you through how you're doing in your classes, how is research going, how is shadowing going. All of those things are on a more one-on-one basis. And then the UCSF faculty, like all the physicians that you would be talking to, would be in a group setting. So it'd be you and around four other people that are maybe in the same cohort. They can be in different cohorts. It just basically depends on if they have the same interests as you. And the meetings go for about like an hour or so.
Okay, so doing a time check here, 7:30 is 7:30 right now, and 7:30 is the end of our webinar. But I'm going to answer one more question because it's also thematic to maybe quite a handful here. And it sounds like a lot of students are preparing or trying to figure out what to do in high school. And there's a lot of like, should I take this? Is this more important? And that sort of thing. I'll answer it here and then have you guys somebody type in the Prime Plus email, and anybody else that we didn't get their question, please email us at Prime Plus. So for those of you that are preparing, trying to figure out what else to do in high school, the juniors that are on the call, in terms of what it is you choose to do, if you're trying to show academic readiness, right, then yes, honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment, college credit, right? Showing us that way that is academic rigor, then great. Someone mentioned Science Olympiad. If you feel like Science Olympiad is showing your academic rigor in STEM, then go ahead and choose that. But there isn't a right or wrong to choose. It's that you participate in these activities successfully and they are meaningful to you. Same thing with the extracurriculars. I think gathering a long list of extracurriculars and in the end not telling us why it meant something to you or what you got out of it is really the key. So for, again, those of you still preparing, have questions, please email us at primeplus@ucmerced.edu, make appointments with us, and then stay tuned for application workshop coming in the fall. And any last words from anybody else or something I might have missed? I will, can also show the appointment thing again if you guys want me to. Yep.
Please.
Okay. We'll show one more time the appointment list, and then oops, escape this for a second. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Sorry. So you could take a screenshot here. Please come meet us. Yes, somebody asked about whether they could visit campus. Absolutely, you can come visit campus. We love for you guys to come. Ask for us at the Welcome Center. And then we look forward to seeing you either virtually or in person. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.